They're such hard words, naturalism set against abstract. Maybe it's clearer in painting and drawing. I think the thing to remember is that it is already abstracted because it's a play. It's happening, it's fake. People are saying lines that that have been written down for them to say. They're wearing clothes that aren't their clothes. They're stood on, in a most extraordinary kind of artificial environment, lit with peculiar artificial lights, set against objects that sometimes, a brick wall that is just made of polystyrene covered with paint. And there's somehow, it's to do with an arrangement, a deal you make with the audience, where the audience will say, okay, I will just, what you call, suspend my disbelief. I know that that's not a real brick wall, but for the sake of now, just for this moment, I'm happy to accept that piece of painted scenery is a brick wall. Now, what I'm fascinated by is that deal you make with the audience, the point at which the audience are intrigued by when you present them with an object that isn't familiar. It's not a brick wall. It's not something that they see in nature. It's perhaps something that they've seen, but in a different form. So, for example, in Julius Caesar, where it's clearly a photograph of a sky, you're not trying to make a naturalistic sky. It doesn't move. It's an exquisite, beautiful, illuminated sky, like you might see on an advertising hoarding. And then that advertising hoarding starts to rain. So from this photographic cloud comes real rain and real water. And for me, that's thrilling and exciting. That is theatre. It's the surprise and the excitement about a familiar object presented in a very unfamiliar way. And I think that's why theatre has over film. I think film is often familiar objects presented in a familiar way. I think theatre goes into a new world. And I think when it really works is when audiences will go along with you. And as long as you set it up from the first few moments of the play, an audience will go with almost anything. You will tell them, any object. Beckett is brilliant at this. That you will say, okay, this dustbin is my house, and I live in this house, and you'll just call it a house. But the audience, okay, fine, it's the house. It's like a child, saying this box is now my car, and there's no discussion about it not being a car. It's a car for that moment, and then it's thrown in the bin, and it's a bit of cardboard again. But just for that moment, it was a car. And that's really, I think that's exciting, and that's when theatre really works.